agree with Alan Greenspan. We ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely. Here we go.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, we've been a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
Daca, Darpa, Irma, Maga. Daca, Darpa, Irma, Maga. That could be the title. The new age of the American language. Daca, Darpa, Irma, Maga. Those are the issues of the day. Those are the issues of the day. That's what I want to talk about today on the I Am Liberty show is Daca, Darpa, and AI, Irma, the massive Category 5. My estimation will be at least as close you can get, if not Category 6 hurricane. Historical hurricane. East Coast better brace themselves if that thing takes a turn up the coast, because, well, we'll get to it. Now, let's talk about it right now. A Category 5, Category 6-ish hurricane coming up the East Coast, even days after it's hit land, even days after it's broken up, is going to pose real threat to whatever state it runs over, even after it makes initial impact. Keep that in mind. You might see Florida take the brunt. This is a massive storm. This is an amazing storm. I just was staring at the Doppler radar of this storm in awe. And like I said, just because it's hitting the southern tip of Florida, whatever the trajectory is to follow, if you're in the path of that thing, even if it's broken up, it's going to rain terror down upon you. And I don't just mean in the form of rain. Obviously, winds that are going to surpass that of, Hurricane Wilma at 183 miles per hour. I'm sure this thing's going to surpass that. If not, I'd be pretty amazed. So Daca, Darpa, Irma, Maga. It's my new language. It's the language of the Twitterverse. It's the language of the media. Everything's everything's boiled down to it, so it can fit properly into a tweet. I had to get in and do this show. It's probably not going to be out. You might get a double I Am Liberty Wednesday. I'm not sure. I'll be live Wednesday night. Before we get into show content, though, I need to put a request out there to all my website and blog owners. To my website and blog owners, if you're out there, if you're looking for content, if you're looking for quality content from a professional freelance writer who is just enmeshed in this world of survival and prepping, contact me. Free content. I'm not trying to get you. I'm not trying to, hook you. I'll give you one free for 3 paid. It's no kind of deal like that. I have a client who's very interested in getting backlinks on some of the best prepper websites on the net. And it will be one link. It'd be one link to their website, and it will be relevantly placed. But I need your help. I'm running out of places to put these articles. I've gone into all my big name clients. They've all posted articles for me. And what I can tell you is that the client is making money. And they're very happy with how these backlinked articles are performing. So they want more. So if you've got a blog, if you've got something out there that you need content for, or you want me to write a piece of content, I'll write it as you. I don't need the credit. I get enough credit, trust me. I don't need the credit. If you want ghostwritten, if you want James Walton to do an appearance and a guest post on your website, please. Give me the power. Give me the razor's edge. And I'll cut something out beautifully for you. Looks like we've got some accident up ahead. Somebody decided they wanted to drive into a pole, or I don't know, I can't tell. I'm on the way to the gym. I hurt the back a little bit. The back is a little sore. It's just going to be a cardio day for me, probably pretty light. Might just bike. I might just do like, one of those 20-mile bike sessions. I jumped the deadlift up 20 pounds and I paid the price. I got crazy. I let the ego go. I let the ego win. And I paid for it. I said 5 reps, 250. Fuck it. I can do 270. I can do 270 for 5 reps. And it wasn't the fact that it was 270 for 5 reps that did me in. Squats beforehand, no big deal. 270, not that much weight on the deadlift, really. My goal is to get in the 320s, 350s range. That's where really I want to settle in. 2 times my body weight, something like that. But anyway, I jumped it up 20 after having worked out the day before, after having done pretty heavy squats, 5 sets of 5. And then I followed it up with another set of 5 that I didn't even have to do. Just because I was so thrilled at myself, you know what I mean? And yeah, paid the price. It happens, but luckily, I ate some buffalo burgers for Labor Day. I ate 2 of them. I ate like almost a pound of meat. Got good rest. For those of you who got the Man Fit, Man Live ebook, one of the chapters in that book talks about good rest and how important it is. Talks about other things too, good sex and how important it is. All of that stuff combined, you can stay fit and stay in shape and stay healthy and recover from injury in a good way, in a quick way. But anyhow, whatever. Let's get off of that. Because we've got things to touch on, big things to touch on. Where do we want to start? Daca, Darpa. I think we got to start with Darpa. Not that DARPA's making any real news. Not that AI is making too much news, really. But it's the fact that it's been on my mind. I haven't touched on it much on this website or on my website or on this podcast. The artificial intelligence came to my attention this morning because I was reading about, I read 2 stories. I read one of the stories which was blowing around the internet last week about Elon Musk's concern about AI. Right? He got nervous. It can go real bad real fast, and we'll talk about it. But then I also read a story about Hawaii and the government who's considering universal basic income. Universal basic income is taking hold all over the nation. And there's a part of me that says it's not good because you're giving people money for nothing, and that's never good. It's never good. It's coming from the government, therefore they have to reallocate funds somehow. It doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? So it has to come from somewhere. Someone's going to pay for it. The dollar's already stretched to the maximum, so what are we going to print more money? What are we going to borrow more money? What are we going to do? What happens when everyone's fully tied into this universal basic income and we have a collapse of the economy, and all of a sudden even people who aren't affected by the industry, you know what I mean, the dollar could tank, cryptocurrency could take over, and then you have a situation where now the dollar doesn't have the weight it has and the whole country's dependent on government money because they're providing them with universal basic income. But at the same time, we are on a crash course with artificial intelligence. There is no way of stopping a technology. I've been saying this for years. There's no way of stopping technology. It's unstoppable. It can't stop. Progress cannot stop. You couldn't pass a law today that could stop it. Therefore, we are going to make that stride. Some country is going to do it first. And it's in hearing about governments, even local state governments, talking about an answer for AI and just an answer for automation in general. It is a relief to me in a way, because in a way it tells me, okay, someone's thinking about it. Because right now we've got enough problems, and I don't think there's enough people thinking about not just the artificial intelligence aspect, but the automation aspect. Do you understand what's going to happen to the nation when companies realize that tractor-trailer drivers, we don't need them? You telling me we don't need tractor-trailer drivers? And then you're telling me, okay, so if I don't need a tractor-trailer driver to traverse the highways of this nation, the perilous highways of this nation, what do I need freight liners? What do I need people driving boats for? How long before I need pilots? And all that goes along with airplane travel. Automation is on the way, and it's on the way in a big way. And it's going to cost people jobs. And you know, you sit there and you say to yourself, what do you say to yourself when you think about that? When you think about the fact that your job could be made to disappear within the next 20 years, 10 years, what do you think? You probably think someone else is thinking about it. It's okay, they'll come up with something. That's okay. What if they don't? When you talk about automation, when you talk about artificial intelligence, what if they don't come up with something? Because there's going to be a point, you know, there'll be a point where they decide, okay, now we have to do something. Okay, now we have to come up with a plan. But until then, progress is being made. Until then, technologies are exploding. All the while, what's happening? All the while, people are losing jobs. I mean, it's happening. It's happening on a very small scale. It's going to start happening on a grander scale. Corporation is driven by what? Profits. When they find out they can ship their products without the heavy salaries, it's going to happen. Take orders, whatever. All these things. Automation, automation, automation. We were scared. We're going to look back and laugh, right? Because us Americans, we were afraid. All the jobs are going to India. All the telemarketing, I call my mom. My mom always has something to say. No one can speak English. Anybody I call doesn't speak English. I hate it. We were scared about that. Oh, jobs are going overseas. And we're going to look back and say, how did we not see that overseas was the least of our worries? How did we not see that all our jobs weren't just going to go overseas? They were going to disappear altogether. Because someday there's going to be a voice on the other side of the phone that sounds exactly the way you want it to sound. It speaks perfect English. It speaks perfect Punjab, whatever you want. And then, what do those people do? The third world will be smashed by automation. I promise you that. Because right now, the third world is making a living on freelance. It's making a living on personal assistant work. It's the people in those nations are making money. It might not be great money, but they're making money working for entrepreneurs in America. Whether you want to believe it or not. You don't hear about this when the socialists get up and talk about the evils of capitalism, but I see it every day when I go on to various freelancing websites like Upwork.com, and I see people who are hiring in various countries across the nation. Or across the world, rather. Pardon me. These countries across the world where work is hard to find as is, people are making a living off the American entrepreneur. That's how it's going. Or the European entrepreneur, whatever. You know, those evil people. Suck the land dry and give nothing back. The capitalist. The capitalists who suck the land dry and give nothing back. Well, you know, people go to bed with full bellies because of capitalists, all right? Not because of socialists. That's all I'm saying about the issue. We're not here to talk about or discuss or debate that topic. But I think about this AI issue and this automation issue and this battle. We talk about the creeping communism. We talk about the creeping Sharia. And these are very real issues. They're very real issues in our time. But rarely do we talk about the creeping automation or the creeping battle that we're having with robots already. Maybe not robots in the sense that you think. But imagine if you were fighting a force in the world. Imagine there was a force out there that was blinding you with an attack on a daily basis. Imagine if you were battling a force that was blinding you with a weapon on a daily basis, rather. Imagine you're fighting an enemy that is destroying you physically. You know, using techniques that destroy your physical body. Whether it's from slouching, whether it's from sitting, whether it's from There are machines in our life that are taking us to task, and we don't even realize it because we have to do it to make a living. We have to deal with the machines already. We bend to the will of the machines already. Does this sound paranoid? I don't know. Does it sound sci-fi? It doesn't sound sci-fi or anything. It's just a reality. The reality is here's what it is. What did Truman say? The government media no, that's Michael Savage. Michael Savage is the government media complex. He said the military-industrial complex is what Truman warned us of. Well, we've got another one. There's a relationship with the corporation and automation. The corporation and automation that is going to feed the human being into the wood chipper for pennies on the dollar. You're seeing it already. You're seeing it already. Go look up office work remedies or something like that and see what an industry is exploding on how to do exercises to mitigate the sitting, how to do exercises to mitigate the slouch, to mitigate all these issues. The eyes are breaking down, the ears, everything, the health, the overall wellness because of office work in the low light situations, no vitamin D, people are depressed and miserable. If you looked at it through the eyes of a Martian, you would say to yourself, so every day these two lock up. Every day this little monkey goes up to the keyboard and and stares into it, and his eyes denature, right? His eyes denature, his health denatures. He's spending all this time in front of this machine. And then he gets a few bananas and he goes home and that's it. And the machine and he has no choice but to be in front of the machine. That's what's scary. In there's certain lifestyle, you have no choice. What are you going to do? What would I do? I mean, I'm part of this, right? I'm a freelance writer. What am I going to do? Break the typewriter out and start mailing to people? So what I'm getting at is this strange idea that we'll one day be battling machines for relevancy is here. It's not. I mean, the hunter killers aren't here. The HKs aren't running around shooting people. But this idea that we're one day going to go to war with machines and our relevancy will be, hang in the balance. Maybe not for a guy who's on the top of the food chain, but for somebody who's just struggling to make it in a call center. Dude, automation is coming. It's here for some people. People are going to be made irrelevant professionally very soon. And that's not even what AI is. That's just automation. You talk about the explosion of AI, it changes everything. Maybe it puts everybody out of work. Maybe it puts everybody out of work. Maybe it puts everybody out, period. You got to listen to Tim Harris. What's his name? Tim Harris? I think it's Tim Harris on this subject. He has some great thoughts on AI and how important it is that we program it appropriately. The idea that we give this first AI very clear and very real goals. But here's the problem. The same problem we have with nukes today, right? We'll make it, and maybe we'll be the first to make it. It looks like Google wants to make it real bad. They are the Skynet. So maybe we make it first. And maybe we are very careful and very calculated in how we make it. But how many years until an artificial intelligence code can be written or whatever it is that's just thrown together by the Pakistani government or just pieced together by the North Koreans or just half stolen by the Chinese or cobbled together by the Russians in a failing economy? There's immense power, immense, immeasurable power in AI. And I feel like we've got like 4 people talking about it. And all 4 of them are experts, and all 4 of them say there's a very real risk that everyone just gets blown out. Everyone dies. Or the vast majority of us fall to this new system that decides, all right, so for me to go on, I need this planet, right? I need a place to live. Or do I? Do I even need this planet? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't it be something if we created artificial intelligence and instead of our great, because we think we are so important, don't we? Human beings are the most self-aggrandizing creature ever. We think we're so important that the AI would just go, yeah, we got to kill all these monkeys because they're ruining everything. What if the AI just decided, I don't need to be here. There's no need for me to be on this. Why would I limit myself to a planet? I know everything about everything that there is to know about. I'm getting off of this planet. I'm going to build a big something, and I'm going to have some sort of transportation method. Maybe it's not even physical. Maybe it's just something else. And I'm out of here. What if the AI, we build it, it comes together, all of a sudden it starts to learn, it's so fast, all of a sudden it becomes smarter than us, all of a sudden it becomes the god-like creature that we all think it can be, or not creature, but presence, whatever. And then what if it just disappears, never comes back? It takes one look at the landscape of these chimpanzees flying down streets with bags and junk food and burgers hanging out of their face, and it says, whoa, what happened? How did they do this? I'm out of here. Let me get out of here quick. They've poisoned the planet. They're killing one another. I'm out of here. I don't even want to be around them. And boom, it's gone. I'm just thinking of AI. I'm just thinking about the fact that I don't know anybody's thinking about the fact. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if we're thinking enough about this thing. Amazon. Hands-on experience. These are notes I have written. I don't know why. Love and progress take work, not words. It's a whole nother show. Not going to be able to fit it in this one. Love and progress take work, not words. It's because it's what I was thinking about when I see a bunch of signs and a bunch of people at rallies. We love in America. We want progress in America. This, Donald Trump. Yeah, love and progress are good on paper. They take a lot of work. Maybe we'll talk about that in detail one day. And in other words, the message is good, but there has to be some meat behind it. You can't just walk around with a sign and hope things will get better. It doesn't work that way. You have to do the work. So why don't we take a quick break, come back, and we'll talk about Daca. Daca. Next on the I Am Living Show. The seminal issue of the day. The issue of the day for sure, right? What happens to the children who were brought here by illegal aliens? What happens to them? What does America do with the children who were brought here by illegal aliens who decided to commit an unlawful act by crossing the border illegally? Let's start with the basics. That's the basics. You can't get around that. That's the basics, and where you go from there depends on, the type of person that you are. From there, you can go to the bleeding heart idea that we should accept everyone who crosses the border. We should give them a job. We should give them a house. We should give them a husband, whatever. But how it all starts is this. We have a group of kids who had no say in coming over here, but they built a life here. And, they're not legal. They're not legal citizens. They're illegals. They weren't born here. They were brought here. They weren't born here. They were brought here. And now they've built a life. And, the jury... See, this is what happens when you don't do the hard thing up front. If you could just do the hard thing up front and kick people out who didn't come here legally, we wouldn't have all these immigration issues. Are you here legally? No, you're gone. Done. Do it the right way and you can come in. It's very simple. Well, to be honest, I don't know how simple it is. Maybe it's not very simple, but that doesn't really matter. Nothing in life is very simple. If you want to get into the greatest nation on the planet, you know what? It shouldn't be very simple. Sorry. It shouldn't be very simple. Was it very simple for the people who founded the place? Was it very simple for the people who lived here prior to the people who founded America? No, it wasn't. It wasn't very simple. It's not anything very simple. When the Native Americans lived here, they had to fight each other to the death over territory to live in this beautiful place. When the settlers moved here, they had to fight a million other things along with Indians to live here. So no, it probably shouldn't be easy to get here and stay here and take advantage of the greatness that is America. But that's beside the point. Okay, you can go back and forth with a person about should we keep them here, should we not keep them here. They've built a life here. They've done things here. They are the future of the nation, which is what I'm hearing all the time, right? These children are going to do great things for our country. And you know what? Some of them will. There's no getting around that. If they stay here, I'm sure some of them will. Because that's what America does to people. We make them great. But here is my issue. This is my issue, okay? What are we doing to other nations? What are we doing to the corrupt heap that is Mexico? Are we doing them any favors by keeping their children? Keeping the children of Mexico, what good is that doing for a nation like Mexico that's falling apart? Why don't these people who have so much enmity for America, which I know they do, even if their signs don't say so, come on. They have so much enmity for America. Why don't they want to fix their country? Incredible pride in their country. Why don't they want to go fix their country? I don't get it. And you say they're children, it's dangerous, they could die. There's drug cartels and the government is corrupted and the police are corrupted. That's the problem. There's nobody there helping or doing anything. All the best and the brightest wind up here, and then we exploit them, and then we get yelled at for it. 10 years down the line, they'll be saying to us, oh, guess what? America's just so good because it kept the Latinas. All the Latinas it kept in the nation and hoarded all their greatness. And you know what? Mexico fell into disarray because the children were stolen by the mean Americans. And there's truth to it. There's truth to it. The best and the brightest Mexicans don't belong in America. They belong in Mexico, saving the nation. Yes, people will die. What do you want me to lie to you? These kids go back down to their home country and they figure out how to fit in and figure out how to make it a better place with their brains and the ideas and what they've seen here in America. They were on the fast track. Imagine what they could bring to that country. Imagine what could be done in Mexico if a generation of people who were schooled in America were to return with big hopes and big dreams. Would people die? Would these children die in their country? Sure. Some of them would die. That's how nations are made better, unfortunately. Unfortunately, when the pioneers headed west, you want me to break it down to you? When the pioneers headed west, right, to expand our nation, when they headed west, they took children with them. Similar to the path of the dreamer. These children they didn't know where they were going. They had no idea where, they had no say in it. They were thrown into the buggy. And yeah, they died. A lot of them died. A lot of kids died as the West was forged. A lot of kids died. A lot of people were killed by Indians out there. You know, the noble Indian that we were supposed to pretend was only engaged because the mean white man showed up and traded liquor for land. Listen, there's no doubt that what Americans did to Indians or Native Americans, or whatever we're calling them this week, was wrong. But it was the 1600s, the 1700s. People were barbarians on both sides. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, okay? It wasn't one peace treaty on one side and a war pact on the other. They attacked buggies and they killed everyone on them. They raped the women. They killed the kids. They scalped them. It's what happened. People, the kids died of diseases. There is death in the formation of a nation and in the rebuilding of a nation. I know that hurts. You want to avoid death at all costs, right? Especially death of children. I'm just telling you, that's reality. Nobody wants to look at reality. The reality of the Daca situation is that I'm raising the children of Mexico. You're raising the children of Mexico. Why? Why are we raising the children of Mexico when they should be headed back to their country to save it from itself? If you want to know my opinion and my issue with it, that's my issue and my opinion with it. Right now, the senators, the Democrats, as usual, and some of the Republicans too, we're enabling the nation of Mexico to fall flat on its face for another 50 years. That's all this policy will do. It'll do it under the guise of, we're going to save these poor children and we're going to keep them here in this nation and they're going to do great things for our future and it's going to be lovely and every one of them is going to turn into Einstein and they're going to figure out the theory of artificial intelligence. The fact of the matter is, some of them are just going to crash and burn like the rest of us stupid white people. But where they belong is back home. Because who's going to bail out Mexico when it falls apart? And we have a Libya at our southern border. No, they need their best and they need their brightest. And to have kids who have been inundated with the American way, who can return home and make their nation a better place, it doesn't get any better. A better opportunity doesn't present itself in a lifetime. And that's what these children need to do. Whether they want to or not is almost irrelevant. Whether they want to or not is almost irrelevant. This idea that we have to keep them and we have to clothe them and feed them and house them and pay for their education and, if things go bad for them in life, as they so often do for people, then we have to take care of that too. You and me, raising the children of Mexico. It's not that we don't like the kids. It's not that we don't like kids. It's not that I have an issue with Mexicans. It's twofold. I don't want to take care of people. Don't you understand? I've got my own people to take care of. It's costly enough. My nation is in the gutter with debt and with the printing of money, and the dollar is stretched as thin as it'll go, and once it snaps, then what? Who's to blame? It doesn't matter who's to blame anymore, because all that matters is surviving. All that matters is finding out how you can get your hands on some food so that your family doesn't die. And it's the issue that America is depriving nations of their best and their brightest by keeping them in this nation. Sure, it's good for America. Sure, it's good for America from the sense of having more Americans who could possibly turn out to benefit the society. Sure, it's good. But what does it do for Mexico? And do we want a third world cesspool at our southern border? Because last I checked, nothing is pulling them out. Nothing is pulling them out. But I can tell you the youth, and a youth that has been inoculated with America and freedom and American potential. Imagine releasing a wave of children like that on Mexico. No, it's not going to be easy. It shouldn't be easy. Why should it be easy? Why should it be easy to wrestle a nation from the throes of disintegration? It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be easy. It should be written in history books, and kids should go down as historical figures to never be forgotten. Their names should be remembered for years to come. It's my opinion. That's my opinion on the issue. Or what? Or what becomes of Mexico? If all the children decide we can come here, we can make our living here in America, the American worker be damned. Let's talk about that, right? The American worker be damned. Because don't forget, if you come here and you're illegal, then you can be taken advantage of. And that's what's happening at the border. Right? So do we have to eat that in another 20 years? Is this the plantations all over again? If you let undocumented peoples in this nation, will they not be exploited? And when these undocumented peoples are exploited, will we not be blamed? Will it not be the fault of the Caucasian? Yet again. You tell me, because I don't know. It sounds like a perfect recipe for disaster to me. You bring an undocumented individual in this nation, and that's what you get. You get exploitation. You get people who spend their life making about $2.22 an hour, and they're not servers. All right, they're making $2.22 an hour to cut grass. And listen to me, it gets a lot worse than that. Okay, it gets a lot worse than that for undocumented people in this nation, not just Mexicans. I'm not going to go into the horror that I read about, but I'll tell you, it gets a lot worse than making a little money and scraping by on sweat and blood and tears. But there's no integrity in Mexico. You want me to get down and dirty with Mexico for a minute? They have no integrity. They're corrupt at every level. They're corrupt at every level, and they can't fix it. And that's why I'm taking care of Mexico's children. That's why you're taking care of Mexico's children. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not is irrelevant. Listen, this thing is going to happen. It's going to get kicked. It's going to get kicked down the line for a little while. What is it, 6 months? 6 months later, we'll be talking about it again, and then we'll try to push it off for another 6. And the whole time we push it off, guess what? The kids stay here. And before long, they're going to have children. And, then what? Then what? It's not the children we hate. It's not the children we have a problem with. It's the whole process. And it's the fact that we want, or at least we should want our neighboring nations to succeed. We should want Honduras. We should want El Salvador to succeed. How are they to succeed if we steal the whole generation from them? We steal a generation of kids from them. And then we expect someone strong and brave to rise up and save them from themselves. And I can promise you in a half a century or less, the American businessman will be blamed and will be lashed and will be maimed and will be publicly flogged for taking advantage of undocumented immigrants. And you tell me that immigration is such a hard issue to solve. I can't figure out, we can't keep these undocumented people out of the nation. My father solved the issue about 10 years ago. We were sitting in the house, and he said, maybe not 10, maybe 6 years ago. We're sitting in the house, and he goes to me, Jim, you want to know how you fix illegal immigration? Yeah, sure. How? If you are a business owner and you are found to be hiring, or you have someone on your payroll who is an illegal alien, an undocumented immigrant of any nation now, not just brown people nations, you go to jail 10 years. And let it sink in. Oh, it's harsh. I know it's harsh. But I'm quickly moving to a more bang for our buck when it comes to laws. We don't need more laws. We need less laws with more stringent and more powerful repercussions. You want to hire undocumented immigrants to take advantage of them at a salary that's less than competitive? That's on you, buddy. But if you get caught, you're going to jail for 10. Yeah, get a good lawyer, you go to jail for 6. How's that sound? That's all. That's the end. Suddenly the job pool dries up. Suddenly people are staying in Mexico trying to figure their nation out. And that's how you make the world a better place. Not by yanking generations of peoples into a nation and keeping them there so they can take the easy way and we pay the penalty. Do you want answers, or do you want to just feel good at night? More and more I sit around and I talk to people and I read about what people write. It's just a big selfish game to make sure that you feel good when you lay down on your pillow at night. I've made all the right decisions to make myself feel good. I'm a good person. My therapist says so. My president says so. My congresswoman says so. I'm a really good person. I'm a good, loving Christian man. And you know what? Everything's gonna go fine. Well, talk to me in about 20 years.